Today we're going to talk about mean. No, not mean like not being nice, but mean in math. Mean is the total amount of all the values distributed evenly. So let's look at these Unifix cubes. What I want is everybody to have the same amount. So right now I have 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, and 5. But I want it to be evenly distributed. So what could I do? I can actually kind of rearrange them so that everybody has the same amount. That's what I mean by the total amount of the values distributed evenly. So if I do this, I could move one here. Now they both have 3. And then I could move this here and this here. And now they all have 3. So now they all have the same amounts and it's all distributed evenly. So what would the mean be? The mean would be 3. If I distributed it all evenly, the mean is 3. So how do we do this in a mathematical way? So to find the mean, you're going to distribute the values of the data evenly, and you're going to need to find the sum of the data and then divide by the number of data points in the set. That means I'm going to do 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 5. And then I'm going to divide that sum by 6 because there were 6 data points in that set. When I add it all up, I'm going to get 18. And then 18 divided by 6 is 3. That's the same that I just got earlier when I actually moved them around. Let's talk about something that we're all familiar with, grades. Now, we use mean or average, because I can call them the same thing, to find your 9 weeks average. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding up all of your grades. When I add them all up, they're going to add to 1,056. Now, how many pieces of data are there? Well, there's 6, 12. There's 12 grades. So what that means is I'm going to take this sum, 1,056, and I'm going to divide it by 12. And when I do that, I'm going to get 88. So the average is an 88. Now let's talk about something that my husband loves, golf. For those that are not familiar with golf, par would be the number of strokes it takes to get the ball in the hole, is how many it's supposed to. So the score would be how off you are from that. You want a lower score. So this one, -1, means that they got it in 3. So we want to find the average strokes to par, or the mean of the strokes to par. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding all of them up. So we have 18 different numbers and we're going to add them. I'm going to go ahead and add the positives together, and then I'll add the negatives together. The zeros, of course, they're not positive or negative. So the positives add to 13, and now I'm going to add the negatives, which adds up to -6. So if I add 13 and -6, I'm going to get 7. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that by 18. And that's going to get me 0.38 repeating, so I'm going to round it to 9. So the average strokes to par is 39 hundredths. So we're going to look at this problem. Each group has an average of 7 pencils. So since there's 3 groups, that means that it has to add up to what? It needs to add up to 21. So it needs to add to 21 so that when I divide by 3, I will get 7. But wait, look at this. I don't actually know how many's in group 2. How many are in group 1? There are 10. I don't know how many are in group 2. And in group 3, there are 7. So I know that there are 17 plus whatever group 2 is, and that has to add up to 21. So that when I divide by 3, I will get 7 because there's an average of 7. So what plus 17 is 21? 4. So that means there has to be 4 pencils in that group so that everyone has an average of 7. This way, I have 10 here, 4 here, and 7 here. And 10 plus 4 plus 7 is going to be 21, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. So that's how I'm going to find that missing number if I already know the average. Now we're going to work backwards, where we're given the average and we need to find the missing part. So the teachers have an average of $6 each. How much money does Mr. Zubke have? So what that means is every person, if I distribute it evenly, would have $6. So let's think about that. If everyone was supposed to have an average of $6, that would mean that Mr. Lewis would need $6, Mr. Laugen would need $6, Mrs. Schuler would need $6, Mr. Zubke would need $6, and Mrs. Yee would need $6. So with 5 people each needing $6, how much would that need to add to? That would need to add to 30. Why? Because since there are 5 people, I would be dividing by 5 because there's 5 pieces of data, and I want it to equal to 6. So 30 divided by 5 equals 6. So let's look at how much each person has right now. Right now, Mr. Lewis actually has $5. Mr. Laugen is poor and only has $2. Mrs. Schuler is rolling in the dough with $9. We don't know how much money Mr. Zubke has, and Mrs. Yee has $6. So what does it add up to so far? Right now it adds up to $22. So that means $22 plus whatever Mr. Zubke has to equal $30. So that way, again, when I divide it by 5 people, I'll get that average of $6 each. So if it has to add up to 30, then what does Mr. Zubke have to have? Mr. Zubke has to have $8.